How do and welcome back. My name is Andrew Hancock and I'm a VMware technical architect from Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. I have worked with the VMware products since their inception in 1998, so that's 23 years I've been working with the VMware product line. Some of you may say if you cut Andy in half it reads VMware like a stick of rock from Blackpool. I've also written over 100 articles for Experts Exchange and won many other awards and accolades. I am honoured to have been accepted into the VMware vExpert program for the last 11 years and more recently a VMware vExpert Pro for the last 2. Hi there, well welcome back. I'm going to treat you to something special. I'm going to do another how to create your, this will be the second Linux virtual machine on a VMware vSphere Hypervisor 7 on that Dell PowerEdge R730 that we've been using in this series. In the previous video I actually basically showed you how to install Ubuntu server, because that's the ISO that I actually basically uploaded to the data store. But then I actually basically remembered that in fact actually my article that I wrote was about the desktop edition, and at the beginning of the video I actually started talking about the desktop edition and then I actually basically went on and installed the server edition. Whoops! So I'm going to put that right. So I've already downloaded the desktop edition of Ubuntu. I've already done the checksum, MD5's checksum, and I'm going to do this a little bit different, and I might not have shown you this before. I don't think so. Before we use the data store browser and the host client to upload to the data store, but we can use WinSCP, and again I'll put all these instructions in the steps. So there's my Ubuntu desktop file, there's my data store, and I can basically just wang it up using WinSCP. Remember, of course, you need to have SSH connection enabled on the server to be able to do this. You will get a error connection refused if SSH is not running. And heed that warning about not leaving SSH open all the time. So that's wanging its way up onto the data store. And in the meantime, we're going to go back to our host. As you can see here, I downloaded it there, evidence. Okay, so again, we just need to put in a descriptive name. This is a name in the inventory. Compatibility, the virtual machine hardware version, ESXi 702. Our guest OS is Linux. And again, it's going to be Ubuntu Linux. Followed by next. We're going to use that flash data store again. And we're going to click next. And as it's a desktop edition, then we're going to give it a bit more memory. So I'm going to give it 4 gig of memory, probably a bit OTT for Linux desktop maybe. I'm going to give it 30 gig. No, I'm going to give it a 40 gig disk. I'm going to increase the number of CPUs. I want two CPUs, 2 cores times 1 socket. VM options, I want to use UEFI, and I'm going to connect the data store ISO, and let's just go back and check if it's been wanged up. Yep, it's wanged up there, look. Ubuntu 20.04.2 desktop AMD, that's the one. So that's it there. I'm going to select that and I'm going to click next. Just going to have a quick look to see if all that looks correct. As you can see, the VMFX Net 3 interface is selected by default. LSI Logic Parallel, IDE. Okay, so I click finish. And there's our second virtual machine container. Now obviously we have to boot it. We have to press power on. And we have to wait for it to start. And you can see there basically it's got the Grub version, which is just a bootloader. Grub is just a bootloader. Similar to the old days when you maybe used to see Windows of the bootloader and you used to be able to select the different options. Same thing. So I'm going to select Ubuntu. It's obviously going to check the disk. I've already actually basically done an MD5 check and that disk is perfect, so it would surprise me really if it would find any errors. And as you can see, this is actually basically booting up in a graphical GUI mode. We could have actually added a GUI on top of the server installation, by pulling down the various parts and the repos. Wouldn't really be any different, but let's install the desktop edition as per my article, which if you actually basically want to refer back to something in the step-by-step with screenshots, then I'll put that in the description as well. So okay, we want to select English, that's my language, install Ubuntu. Now I have noticed that if you don't give your desktop edition enough cores, it will struggle. This installer is very processor hungry. So English UK, and I'm going to click continue. I want a normal installation. I'm going to download the updates while I'm installing Ubuntu, and I'm going to click continue. Pauses with bated breath. Oh, there we go. Okay, I want to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. Obviously, this is a brand new guest virtual machine. There's nothing. It's a virgin disk, and I'm going to click install. And I'm happy with the default partition table that it's selected for me, so I'm just going to select continue. I'm in London, so I'm going to click that as my time zone. Same thing again. Andrew Hancock. Andrew Hancock's virtual machine. The installer knows that this is a virtual machine. I'm going to use Hancock A, and I'm going to choose a password. It's a strong password, it tells me. Let's try that again. I do think I got the first password wrong, actually. Yeah, I did. Hang on. Let's go back and... Yep, strong password. Okay, continue. And it's now going to go off and start installing. And you can actually basically see in that little box, even smaller type than I can see, that it's actually basically starting to do the installation. So I'm going to let it continue to do that. I'm going to disappear. And I'll come back at the end and we can conclude, and I will speed this up in post edit so that you don't have to sit there staring at the screen watching tiny little text whilst it installs our Ubuntu desktop 20.04.2 LTS. I'll be back shortly. I'm back. That definitely looked quicker than doing the server installation, which surprises me considering that the server installation hasn't got any of the GUI components. Okay, so we're going to basically hit restart now. And again, it's actually basically me to remove the installation media. So let's just check that it has actually ejected it. So it's not connected, which is good. And we can hit enter, and obviously our server's going to reboot. This shouldn't take very long. Ubuntu basically boots up fairly quickly, and interestingly, it's probably not going to be an awful lot to talk about in how to install VMware tools for Ubuntu server and desktop. But I'll do a quick video on that. Basically with, well, you don't really have to do an awful lot. It looks now like that the Ubuntu packages are really getting up to date. Because even the desktop version here says VMware Tools is not managed by vSphere. So therefore the open version of VMware Tools is being installed automatically because it knows it's a virtual machine. So that takes an awful lot more the effort away from you having to manually install it. But we'll just log in. And there's our Ubuntu desktop. And again, you know, like I'm a bit old school, so I actually basically like a good old shell prompt. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do the sudo apt-get update password again. And it's going to go off basically and pull down all them cache headers to write to our repo, and then basically I'm going to issue an upgrade, and it will actually basically go off and pull down all the new files that I needed to update our second Linux virtual machine. And that follows roughly the article that I've actually basically written here, which when I wrote this last year in May, I'm pretty sure that when I was writing this, I'm just going to check that I hadn't noticed yet VMware Tools is not installed, and we had to do a separate VMware Tools installation. Yeah, part 10, how to install VMware Tools, not installed, and that's the desktop version. VMware Tools not installed. So it just goes to show, you know, in 12 months has gone by, and you don't have to actually basically install VMware Tools anymore, it looks like. And as I said before, you know, we only actually install these operating systems once. This is a one-time, you know, downloading the ISO, creating the configuration container, attaching the ISO, doing the next, finish, patching, because we deploy smart, we deploy from templates, golden masters. It's much faster. You know, when you're in production, when you've got somebody knocking on your door, when you've got requests in support queue saying, can I have a virtual machine? You know, we haven't got time to be putting CD-ROMs in server drives or even ISOs and connecting them to containers, and yeah, life is too short for that. Anyway, so this concludes this video on how to basically create your second Linux virtual machine, which happens to be Ubuntu desktop. I'll create another video which will be very, very quick, I promise, on VMware Tools and how to install VMware Tools in your Linux Ubuntu machine. You don't need to anymore because it's already done for you. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and come back soon, and all the best, and stay safe.